folks, this is Master Corporal Moore, and today I'm going to try to give you a roadmap to how to get the most Clan Wars viable tanks of all tiers 6, 8, and 10 as quickly as possible. So there is about 4-ish tech lines that you can go up that's going to give you the most opportunities. I'm going to start with the Russian light medium lines. Ultimately, it starts off, you get the T-34. I'll show it on the tech tree here. So the T-34, which unlocks both the MT-25 and the T-34-85. So by simply grinding one line, you can choose different routes to get to it. You can unlock both of these Tier 6 tanks, which can be viable for Tier 6 Clan Wars and Strongholds. While the MT-25 is not the #1 chosen light tank, it is competitive enough that you can get away with it. At the very least, you can use it in Strongholds to start grinding towards the LTTB and eventually the T-54 lightweight. Speaking of the lightweight, it's another Clan Wars viable tank. So the 3485 I don't have, but I do have the 3485 Rudy. It's a Berlin package, a little bit of advertising here for Wargaming. If it does come available, pick up the 3485 Rudy and you just bought yourself a Clan Wars viable tank. At the same time, the 54 lightweight is a great one at Tier 8. Now going back to the tech tree here, from the lightweight, you can actually go straight to the 54 and then to the 140. Generally speaking, the 140 is the one that's recommended first before the 62A when you're unlocking it from the 54, and that's for a couple of reasons. A lot of people do prefer the 140, while the 62A has better turret armor. It's a little bit more squat, so it's less of a profile to be able to shoot at it. The 140 has the advantage of the better gun depression, slightly better gun handling, and it is a little bit better handling, although they're both excellent handling tanks. I use them interchangeably. The 140 is my preferred, but the other reason why you might want to grind the 140 before the 62A is because the gun. When you unlock the gun here, the Delta 10T2S towards the 140, this is the preferred gun for handling characteristics. While you do get slightly better pen on the standard ammunition on the 100 D54, the gun handling of the D10 is much more advantageous to being able to pinpoint where you're shooting and shooting on the move, which is really the skills that you're kind of developing to be able to run these two Tier 10 tanks. So again, to quickly recap that tech tree, you're going to go straight up to the T-34, unlocking both the light and the medium line. Keep the 3485. Keep the MT-25 at least until you have a replacement light tank, and continue moving up to the 54 lightweight. You can grind out the 34 or the 43 and the 44 all the way up, so you can get a new crew ready to go into one of these as well. And basically, you have 2, 3, 4, 5 Clan Wars viable tanks in 1.5 tech trees. Continuing on in the tech trees, we have the Russian heavy lines. So there's basically 3 tanks on the Russian heavy line that all line up and are worthwhile getting. So taking a look at the tech tree, I'm going to hit the KV-85, which at one point used to be the KV-1S, and the KV-1S was one of the most dominant tanks in company battles back in the day. One of the most dominant Tier 6 tanks in Strongholds and in Clan Wars. Ultimately, it was changed to a Tier 5. The KV-85 replaced it. It was modified, and in some ways, I do prefer it personally to what the KV-1S used to be. And I think it's a much more balanced machine. However, it is a viable tank for Tier 6 Strongholds and Clan Wars, so if you want to get into heavies, this is a good line to go down. Now, if you jump through the IS, you get to the IS-3, which is one of the top 3 tanks chosen most commonly in Tier 8 Strongholds and Clan Wars. So, you get one of these, they're going to let you play. Learn to play it well, and they'll let you play a lot. Jump through the T10 and you get to the IS-7. As you can see, I don't have this one yet. I'm primarily a medium player myself, but I am trying to round out my garage by getting more viable tanks so that I'm available to do whatever is needed for my clan to be able to be successful. So ultimately, at Tier 6, 8, and 10, you have viable tanks here in the Russian heavy line. The next branch of tanks to consider going down is going to be the American heavies. I'm also going to mention another one in here at the same time, but let me get into that in detail in a moment. So the next line that you might want to consider is going straight down to the M6, you'll notice I never actually got it. I researched the heavies up through the 29-32 from the Sherman Jumbo, but the M6 can be a competitive tank in Tier 6 gameplay. Now, the M6 is not going to be as welcome as the KV-85, and neither one of those are going to be as dominant in the games as the OI. However, the OI is basically the only real Japanese heavy that is used with a lot of frequency. So the M6 can be something that you can stop off, pick up, and use for clan wars and strongholds to support your clan while you continue to grind out other tanks. Now, moving up from the M6, you have the T-32, which again is one of the preferred 3 tanks that you're going to have. The IS-3, the T-32, and the 54 lightweight. I've already done another video on Tier 8 clan wars and strongholds that explained what tanks you might want to get at that tier specifically. This is more a video on how to get to these tanks and get the most tanks viable as quickly as possible. From the 32, you can move up to the T110E5. Again, it's a very highly competitive Tier 10 tank. So moving towards the E5 is highly recommended as well. And again, by going up one tech tree, you have 3 very usable tanks. Now, I did mention that there was another line that you could consider, and that's why I said this is 4-ish tech lines that you can go down. The T-37 is one of the most dominant Tier 6 light tanks. It's got some of the highest hit points as well as excellent damage per minute. So it's one that I highly recommend, and I keep an excellent crew in mind specifically just for Tier 6. Moving up, the T-49 is not a very viable Tier 8 Clan Wars or Stronghold tank, but you might have fun with it. So same thing with the Bulldog. They're both kind of fun tanks. Moving up, the 54E1 I really enjoyed in Tier 9, and then the T-57 can be an extremely competitive Tier 10 tank, racking out 6,000 or 7,000 damage in a pug match with T-57 can be a lot of fun, and I've done a video on that one as well. So ultimately, this is 1.5 tech lines that you can go down. There isn't as much viability to get tanks quickly with the T-37 line, but even if you just go up to the T-37 and don't go beyond, this 37 is a highly recommended Tier 6 Stronghold and Clan Wars tank. Meanwhile, the heavy line, the M6, 32, and E5 are very highly recommended, and as you can see, I have the majority of those tanks, excluding the M6, in my garage right now for Clan Wars and Stronghold, so I can support my team. So the last full tech tree that I'm going to recommend to drive down quickly is going to be the French heavy line. Now, it's not going to be as preferred as some of the others, however, it can be another very extremely competitive tank in each of these tiers. So looking at the tech tree, I do not currently own the ARL 44, but I have a lot of battles in mine. I played it a lot, really enjoyed it. It has some great characteristics with a sloped front end, a couple of excellent gun choices with excellent gun depression. It is, again, not going to be chosen as much as the KV-85, but if it's what you have, it will get you some opportunity to be able to play at Tier 6 gameplay. As you move past it, you're going to get to the 5100, which isn't the top 3 Tier 8 tanks, but it is definitely one of the next ones chosen, and if you have that with a good crew, you can get into a lot of battles, especially if you get really good at running autoloaders. Now, speaking of autoloaders, the last tank on this tech tree is the MX-50B, the French variant of the T-57. It has a lot of different characteristics than the 57, but it also has some excellent abilities. So, again, one tech tree will get you all 3 tiers for Stronghold and Clan Wars tanks. So there you have with the Russian light medium line, the Russian heavy line, the French heavy line, the American light T-57 line, the American heavy line, the best way that you can possibly go down 5 or so tech trees to get 17 tier 6 through 10 Clan Wars and Stronghold viable tanks. I hope anybody who's new to the game trying to figure out what tech tree to go down or which ones to push first can use this video to kind of help guide them on what lines to go down. As well, anybody who's currently playing in the game and they're not getting picked for Clan Wars or Strongholds, and they're trying to debate, these tanks are great too. These are tanks that you can get into your garage. You get these ones in your garage, you're going to make yourself very viable, and you can get to them in a relatively quick sense. A lot of the time you're going to grind up to all of these tier 6s. Once you have all the tier 6s, you can start pushing to tier 8s. And there's clans that do just tier 6 strongholds and clan wars. There's clans that do 6 and 8. So you can grow as your garage grows towards these top tanks. But ultimately, like I said, there is a dozen to 16 or 17 tanks here that you can grind with just 4 or 5 or 5.5 tech lines. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope it gets you guys into a few more battles. It's going to be left up to you to learn how to use each of these tanks, but I hope it gave you the roadmap to find the right ones to get in your garage and which ones to keep. So, keep on tanking, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.